going on, party people? It's your friendly neighborhood youth pastor, and this is a series called Atypical. It's all about families, and this is part 2 of a 2-part video on the lesson titled, Not So Typical Families, Pray for Each Other. You ready? Here we go. Hey, where did this come from? So we're going to jump right into it today. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 18 and 19. The last video we were talking about Abraham and Lot and how they fought so much that they had to separate. And now we're going to continue that story. So we're going to look at Genesis chapter 18, 16 to 33. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all the nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so grievous that I will go down to see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham spoke up again. "Now that I've been so bold to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but please let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. And then if you skip to 19 verses 27 to 29, it says this: "Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah, towards the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived." Wow! One thing to highlight from that passage is you really see the power of prayer. Prayer, right? So look at how Abraham negotiated, was going back and forth with God. So you start to get a clue of what God is like. God is a God that you can go to and pray. When you're fighting with someone in your family, it isn't typical to do what Abraham did. It's typical to be silent or hold a grudge or to try and get back. But Abraham did the atypical thing. He didn't wait for Lot to apologize. He made the first move and he prayed. That might seem simple, but not so typical families pray for each other. That's our main point for today. Not so typical families pray for each other. And just like Abraham's prayer changed his family, and in the last video I talked about how prayer changed my family, prayer can change your family too. Every family has imperfections, problems, and struggles, but atypical families invite God through prayer into those situations. And prayer doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as thanking God for your family, even if you don't really mean it at the moment. It can be asking God to give you love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. It can be asking God to give you wisdom to solve a disagreement. It can be asking God to help a family member to solve their disagreement, maybe with you, maybe with someone else. And it can be thanking God for helping your family. Now I want you to think right now about a disagreement that you might be having with a family member. Think about how that disagreement can be changed if you decided to pray for them and pray for that situation. How do you think prayer could change your attitude, your temper, or your perspective? How do you think prayer could change the person that you're fighting with? And how do you think prayer could change your family's pattern of behavior in the long run? So what's our response? It's you first. It's interesting to note that Abraham decided to pray for Lot in the middle of their conflict, before it was resolved. Now I want you to think of any family conflict that you're having. What would happen if you decided to pray first? I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down the name of a family member that you might have some conflict with. And I want you to write down some things that you could pray for that family member and that situation. When disagreements happen, typical families, they scream, they fight, they hold grudges, and they struggle to find common ground. But not so typical families pray for each other. Not so typical families pray for each other. If you want to commit to praying for your family more than you fight with them, imagine how God can use your family to do atypical things in the world. Continue to look at Abraham's story and see how God used him. That's our time. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. See you next time.